Hello, I am Khaja Asifullah, lecturer in chemistry from Government Degree College, Falaknuma, Hyderabad. Today, I present a video lesson on photochemistry. Is the fourth lesson or part 4, in which we will first try to understand how the experimental determination of quantum yield is done. So, first topic is experimental determination of quantum yield. It is the topic from photochemistry. To determine the quantum yield or the quantum efficiency of photochemical reaction, it is necessary to measure the amount of substance decomposed. So we need to measure the substance decomposed in a given time, means the reactants which are decomposed in a given time. The amount of substance decomposed in a unit time, that is the rate of reaction. So the amount of substance decomposed in unit time is called as rate of reaction. And we dealt about this in chemical kinetics. It was a lesson for you. So in chemical kinetics, we learn how to determine the rate of a reaction. So the rate of reaction of this type can be determined by any of the methods described in chemical kinetics. And the second one is the radiations absorbed in the same time, means in the time during which the reaction is taken place, or the amount of substance is decomposed. And the decomposition of reaction substance or decomposition reaction will be taken place during which the radiations are absorbed. So radiations are absorbed during the time. So the amount of radiations absorbed in unit time is nothing but the measure of intensity absorbed by the reacting system. So we have to measure the rate of reaction and also the intensity absorbed. So knowing that these two data, that is rate of reaction and intensity absorbed, we can determine the quantum yield, which is given as follows. So knowing that the two data, the quantum yield of a reaction can be determined with the help of the given expression, which is nothing but this equation is phi, which is nothing but the quantum yield or quantum efficiency is equal to rate of reaction divided by I absorb, or intensity which is absorbed. So quantum yield or quantum efficiency of this photochemical decomposition reaction is nothing but the ratio between the rate of reaction and the intensity absorbed, or the intensity of light absorbed or radiations absorbed. Now, determination of absorbed intensity. We know by any of the methods which were discussed in chemical kinetics, we can calculate the rate of reaction. And now we will try to understand how the intensity absorbed can be determined. So next topic is experimental determination of absorbed intensity. The reaction mixture is placed. For that, we have to take the reaction mixture and it should be placed in a cell made up of glass or quartz. Maybe it is a cuvette, etc., which is made up of glass or quartz, and having optically plane window for all entrance and exit of light. The window should be optically plane window. Glass is used only if wavelength of the light used lies between the range of visible light. And for other radiations, we have to take the cell made up of quartz. So for radiations with wavelength below 3500 angstrom, the cell should be made up of quartz. Means these may be UV rays, etc. And the cell is kept in a thermostat. The complete assembly is shown below. The assembly of apparatus or device which is used for to measure the intensity of light. This is the assembly in which this from left to right we will go. First, this one is called source of light. It may be a bulb and then a lens through which the light is passed. Then the filter, because this bulb may emit the light of different wavelengths. And we need a light of only one wavelength. So we need a filter or monochromator through which if light is passed, it will give you monochromatic light, means light of only single wavelength or one wavelength. So when light of different wavelengths is passed through the monochromator, this monochromator will allow to pass the light of only one wavelength. Then this light is passed through a slit. Slit is nothing but a narrow opening. So the light is first passing through the lens, then the monochromator, then the cell, and then it will fall onto the cell. And the cell is inside the thermostat, and this cell containing the reaction mixture. Then after passing through the cell and thermostat, the light will be recorded by a thermopile or actinometer. So this is a recorder. This is a recorder and it may be a thermopile or actinometer. So this figure illustrates the setup of the apparatus which is used in this experiment to determine the intensity of light absorbed. The same is depicted in this picture also. So it is experimental determination of quantum yield, determination of number of moles reacted that can be done by in the chemical kinetics, and for the intensity absorbed or Einstein's absorbed, we need a source of light, which is this bulb, and then the lens through which the light is passing, and then through a chromator, the light will pass to give a monochromatic light. Then it will pass through a sample or cell, then it will go to detector where the intensity of absorbed light can be determined. Now, light from the source, a filament lamp, carbonyl metal arcs, and various gas discharge tube is passed through a lens. So this source may be a filament lamp or a carbonyl metal arc and various gas discharge tube. So that light which is given out by any of this source is passed through a lens first, then a filter as I told you just now, or a monochromator which cuts off all radiations except the radiations of desired wavelength. It will allow the radiations of desired wavelength. All other will be a slit. Then the light will pass through a slit and ultimately to the cell for a definite time. The intensity of the transmitted beam is measured with the help of detector, and detector is nothing but a thermopile or actinometer. The intensity of transmitted light can be ascertained from the calibrated scale of the detector. Then the experiment is repeated with empty reaction cell. Cell having no content is called empty reaction cell. It will have nothing. And the intensity of transmitted light is measured. The difference of the detector readings gives the intensity of light absorbed, that is I absorbed. First, the experiment is done by taking reaction mixture in the cell, and then by keeping the cell empty, and then after noting down the intensity of light absorbed by the reaction mixture and by empty cell, the difference of those two will be taken, and that will be nothing but the intensity of light absorbed by the photochemical reacting system or the reactants. Thus, the quantum yield can be determined by substituting the corresponding values in the following expression, which is nothing but the equation which was discussed earlier. Quantum yield phi is equal to rate of reaction divided by intensity absorbed, or intensity of light absorbed. Now, the energy associated with the radiations absorbed can also be measured by using an actinometer. So, actinometer can measure the intensity of radiations absorbed. What is actinometer? Actinometer is a device in which gas mixture or solutions sensitive to light are used. So, actinometer contains, it is a device which contains a gas mixture or solutions which are sensitive to light. The use of actinometer is based on the fact that definite amount of radiations absorbed brings about a definite amount of chemical reaction. We know that to bring about a photochemical change, we need certain radiations, and those radiations will be absorbed by the reactants, then only that photochemical change can be brought up. So the commonly used actinometer contains uranyl oxalate, and hence it is called uranyl oxalate actinometer. It consists of aqueous solution of 0.05 m oxalic acid and 0.01 m uranyl sulfate. So the solution's concentration is in molarity. So 0.01 m molar uranyl sulfate and 0.05 m oxalic acid is taken in that actinometer. On exposure to light, this uranyl sulfate absorbs the light and passes it to oxalic acid. And oxalic acid in turn decomposes into carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, and water. So oxalic acid gives carbon dioxide gas, carbon monoxide gas, and water vapors. The extent of decomposition of oxalic acid is determined by titration with KMnO4, that is potassium permanganate solution. So, to know about the extent of decomposition of oxalic acid, that has to be titrated against solution of KMnO4. The energy associated with the radiation can be calculated on the basis that the amount of decomposition proportional to the intensity of radiation. As we know, the decomposition will take place due to absorption of radiation, so the amount of decomposition proportional to the intensity of radiation of a given wavelength, because we will choose a particular wavelength or light of a particular wavelength or monochromatic light. and the time of exposure. The actinometer is first calibrated using radiations of different wavelengths. The measurements are made before and after passing the light through the reacting mixture. Now, some examples of photochemical reactions. Photochemical reactions are studied with a view to discover the mechanism of chemical changes that takes place when a system is exposed to light. The reactions are generally complex and have not been fully understood in many cases. So when we study the photochemical reaction, we can know about the mechanism of the reaction, which is taking place due to absorption of light or photons. The complex nature of these reactions has been explained by considering the reactions take place mainly in two steps, because most of the photochemical reactions or processes are complex in nature. Therefore, this can be explained by considering the reactions to take place in two steps. First step is called primary step. The second step is called secondary step. First one, primary step, it is the first step or process in which light is absorbed and the Einstein's law is believed to obeyed. Means generally the Einstein's law is believed to be obeyed in first step or which is called as primary step, in which the light or radiations or photons are absorbed. There is 1 quantum of light is absorbed per molecule. Every molecule will absorb 1 quanta or a photon. For example, AB is the reactant. A molecule of AB absorbs 1 photon, that is h nu. H into nu gives you a photon, and the amount of energy depends upon the frequency or nu of the radiations absorbed. And this reactant molecule will be converted into activated complex or activated molecule when it absorbs a photon. Now, after absorption of photon, sometimes the same molecule of activated complex or activated molecule may again convert itself into A plus B star, which is active or excited atoms. So this reaction takes place in presence of radiations or photon. And UO2SO4, now the secondary process, the activated molecule, this is activated molecule AB star, are product of the primary process. So AB star is nothing but the activated molecule or the product of primary process, usually undergo reactions with other molecules. Okay, it will undergo a reaction with other molecules. Sometimes the activated molecules get deactivated by collision or emit radiation before they get time to react. So before they react or convert themselves into product, they can be deactivated. These secondary processes are responsible for abnormal quantum yield. What is abnormal quantum yield? When quantum yield is not equal to 1 or a small integer like 1 or 2 or 3, then it is called abnormal quantum yield. So to be a normal quantum yield or quantum efficiency, its value should be a small integer like 1, 2, 3. If it is very small or it is very high. In both the cases, it is called abnormal quantum yield, as we learned earlier. In third part, I explained that. So to illustrate the above, let us consider important photochemical reactions. We will discuss here two photochemical reactions to understand abnormal quantum yield. First one is photochemical combination of hydrogen and bromine, which will give you hydrogen bromide. Okay? We are now discussing about the photochemical combination of H2 and Br2. H2 plus Br2 will give you 2HBr, means hydrogen and bromine combines to give hydrogen bromide. The photochemical combination of H2 and Br2 to produce HBr requires radiations less than 5,100 angstrom, 5,100 angstrom for the primary process, means it needs energy with a wavelength which is less than 5,100 angstrom, and it is nothing but primary process. Okay, so it is excitation of bromine molecule to bromine atoms, or it is nothing but dissociation of molecule of bromine into bromine atoms. How it takes place? It takes place due to absorption of light or radiations or photons. So the equation can be written like this: Br2 plus light or photon gives you 2 bromine atoms on dissociation. Okay, the quantum yield or efficiency of the reaction is very, very low. The quantum yield of this reaction means the reaction between bromine and hydrogen to produce hydrogen bromide is very low. It is as low as 0.01 at ordinary temperature. It is not at high temperature, it is measured at ordinary temperature. And the quantum yield is very low, and therefore it is abnormal quantum yield. And the low quantum efficiency is due to following processes, which are called secondary process, because in primary process, light was absorbed. Now in secondary process, let us see what will happen. There can be 4 possible reactions taking place in the secondary process. First one is bromine atom can react with hydrogen molecule to produce HBr and an atom of hydrogen. This may be taken as first reaction. Then hydrogen atom can react with bromine molecule to produce HBr and bromine atom. In both these cases, HBr is produced. And another case is like this: hydrogen atom can react with HBr molecule to give hydrogen molecule and bromine atom. This is the third reaction, and we can say that the fourth reaction can take place like this: Br atoms can combine themselves to produce Br2 molecule. That means bromine atoms combines to give molecule of bromine. And the reaction indicates that first one, the bromine atom formed in the primary process. What was the primary process? This was the primary process in which bromine molecule absorbs photon or light to produce bromine atoms. Now that bromine atom combines with hydrogen molecule to produce HBr and H in the first reaction of secondary process. And in second, hydrogen atom formed in the equation 1 combines with fresh Br2 molecule, forming more HBr and Br atoms, which is indicated in second equation. The bromine atom so formed may further react as in the equation 1, and thus reaction 1 and 2 should repeat over and again. That is, chain reaction should be set up, and the quantum yield for the reaction, which is given as H2 plus Br2 gives rise to 2HBr, should be very high. If we see the above explanation, and if the reaction say in secondary process or chain reaction, then it should the quantum yield or quantum efficiency of this reaction should have been very high. But in reality, the quantum yield of the reaction is very, very low. Why? Because the secondary process is endothermic here. It is due to highly endothermic nature of the reaction 1 of secondary process, which requires high energy of activation and hence takes place very slowly at ordinary temperature. Since reaction 2 and 3 requires hydrogen atom as one of the reactants, that is, this depends upon reaction 1 again, because 2 and 3 reaction depends again on first reaction of secondary process. Therefore, if rate of reaction there is low or yield is low, then the yield or the efficiency will be low here also. Therefore, it is very low or the reaction is slow. Thus far, four possible reactions of the secondary process, only reaction 4 is important reaction. And also, the reaction 4 is reverse of the primary process. What was the primary process? It was the dissociation of bromine molecule into bromine atoms. And equation 4 is reverse, in which bromine atoms gives rise to bromine molecules. Hence, the Br atoms formed in the primary process do not form the product. Instead, they form bromine molecule. As a result, what happens here? Instead of producing HBr, that is hydrogen bromide, by the bromine atoms which are produced in primary process, they again combine to form bromine molecule. So consequently, quantum yield or quantum efficiency of reaction is very low at ordinary temperature. Since the reaction is exothermic, it is which reaction? First reaction, not the all. The reactions in secondary process are endothermic. The first reaction is only exothermic. Its speed can be increased by increasing the temperature of the reaction. Because first reaction is exothermic, therefore we can increase the rate of reaction of that by increasing the temperature. It will provide the required energy of the activation. So if we increase the temperature, it will provide the required energy of activation. As a result, quantum yield or quantum efficiency of the reaction will increase with increase in temperature. Now, the second reaction is again a combination of hydrogen with another halogen. It is nothing but chlorine. So in first example, we dealt with the combination of hydrogen with bromine, here with chlorine. Here hydrogen and chlorine, which are the reactants, absorb light or photon or radiations to produce hydrogen chloride. The equation is H2 plus Cl2 gives you 2HCl when they absorb light or photon. And the quantum yield or quantum efficiency of this reaction is very high. Again, it is a photochemical reaction or process because it is taking place in presence of light or photon or radiations are absorbed during the reaction. And the quantum yield in this reaction is of the order of 10 to the power 4 to 10 to the power 6. So it is again a abnormal quantum yield. As I told you, in abnormal there will be two cases, very low quantum yield and very high. We dealt in first with low quantum yield. Here we are dealing with high quantum yield. It is due to the chain mechanism of this reaction, which was proposed by Nest in 1918. Actually, the reaction mechanism in second step is chain. mechanism. And this was proposed theoretically by Nest. This reaction involves, again, two processes, primary and secondary. Nearly all photochemical reactions involve primary as well as secondary processes. So there are two processes. Here in primary process, the chlorine molecule absorbs 1 quantum light of wavelength below 4800 angstrom and dissociate to chlorine atoms. When one molecule of chlorine absorbs 1 photon or 1 quanta of light, it will produce 2 chlorine atoms. Now, in secondary process, as soon as chlorine atoms are formed, following secondary process will take place. What will be the possibilities? H2 plus Cl can give you HCl plus H. This is exothermic. Or H plus Cl2 gives you HCl plus Cl. Again, it is exothermic. These are called chain propagating step. As I told you, the photochemical combination of H2 and Cl2 involves a chain mechanism. Here in secondary process, we can see that chain, and the chain was initiated in first step. This is propagated and continued in second step like this. Either in reaction first, what the equation is given, H2 plus Cl gives you HCl plus H, or in second reaction, H plus Cl2 can give you HCl and Cl atom. These are called chain propagating steps. Cl atom formed in equation 2 reacts with fresh H2 molecule forming HCl, and thus reaction 1 and 2 repeats again and again. What was the second reaction? Second reaction, which was involved dissociation of chlorine molecule into atoms by absorption of photons or light. So that will be repeated, and more Cl atoms will be formed, which will react with fresh H2 molecules to form HCl or the product. Therefore, this is repeated, or it is nothing but a chain reaction. And until the whole reactants are exhausted, the reaction will not end. Reactants are converted into products wholly. Hence, these are called chain propagating steps. And reaction of the primary process is called chain initiating step. So, we can divide the photochemical combination of H2 and Cl2 reaction into 3 steps here. Actually, there are 2 steps, primary and secondary, but the whole reaction can be divided as, because it is a chain reaction, and chain can be into 3 steps. First, chain is initiated or chain initiating step. Which one is? It is primary process. In secondary, we have chain propagating step. And in third, chain will be terminated. We will see how it will be terminated. The above chain can be terminated by the combination of 2 Cl atoms to produce Cl2 molecules. It is the reverse of the dissociation. It is a combination. When 2 Cl atoms are combined, the Cl2 molecule will produce, and there is no chance to react with it with H2 to produce HCl. The quantum yield of the reaction of photochemical combination of hydrogen and chlorine, that is H2 plus Cl2, gives 2HCl, is extremely high. Why? Because it is exothermic in secondary process. The chain propagating steps or reactions in secondary steps are exothermic, while the quantum yield of or efficiency of the reactions of photochemical reaction or combination of hydrogen bromine to produce HBr was low because it was endothermic in secondary process. So the quantum yield of the reaction of photochemical combination of H2 and Cl2 decreases. Now, we are discussing now 2 points where the yield or efficiency, that means the quantum yield or quantum efficiency of the photochemical reaction, which is nothing but the combination of H2 and Cl2, it decreases one if oxygen is present even in traces in the reacting vessel. If the vessel in which reactants are taken contains traces of oxygen, even traces of oxygen is present, then its quantum yield or quantum efficiency will decrease. Why? Because in that case, this reaction will take place. H plus O2 will give you HO2. And the other case in which again the quantum yield or quantum efficiency of H2 plus Cl2 gives rise to 2HCl reaction gets decreased when the reaction is carried out in capillary tube. So these are the 2 cases where the quantum yield will decrease. Now, the last point is to remember the reaction of photochemical combination of hydrogen and chlorine can take place even in darkness. That we have to remember. But the quantum yield will be very high if it is taken place in presence of light. Means the rate of reaction will be high in presence of light or radiations, or when the reactant mixture or the reactants, that means H2 and Cl2, absorb light in the form of photons. So otherwise the reaction can even take place in darkness. So this was about this topic, that is determination of quantum yield practically or experimentally. And also we have discussed 2 different examples to understand about the abnormal quantum yield or abnormal quantum efficiency, or the reactions in which quantum efficiency or quantum yield is either very low or very high. So thank you for watching. Let us conclude today's lesson. Thank you, one and all.